We are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, opposed to secret oaths, opposed to secret proceedings, secret proceedings. No official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
Welcome to Conspiracy Corner Podcast, everyone. It is March 3rd. It is 5:44 a.m. Just got off work. Pretty busy night. We had inventory yesterday, so basically we're playing catch up. So I might be getting overtime this week. Just depends on if I feel like doing it, really. Yeah, as far as updates, that's about it on my end. So we'll get into some news. We got some censorship going on. EU to ban Russia's RT, which I actually have used RT in the past, and I think it's a decent news source. Yes, I know it's Russian, but I think it's more trustworthy than Fox or CNN. But it's banning Russia's RT and Sputnik media outlets, von der Leyen says, and that's Leyen. We will ban the Kremlin's media machine in the EU, Commission President says. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen announced Sunday that Kremlin-backed RT, formerly known as Russia Today, and Sputnik would be banned in the EU. We will ban the Kremlin's media machine in the EU. The state-owned Russia Today and Sputnik and their subsidiaries will no longer be able to spread their lies to justify Putin's war, she said. We are developing tools to ban their toxic and harmful disinformation in Europe. Yeah, so this is EU, like we should trust them. Okay. Von der Leyen added without providing more details. Kremlin-backed media have been under increased pressure in Europe since Russia launched its invasion of Ukraine. Poland and Estonia regulators have in recent days banned Russian TV broadcasters, while Western countries, including the UK and France, have renewed scrutiny on RT. The power to shut down broadcasters is in the hands of national regulators. In recent weeks, a massive information war unfolded both online and offline between Kremlin-backed news outlets and online trolls and media and actors both in Ukraine and across the West. According to French public radio France Inter, RT's France's coverage of Ukraine was obviously one-sided and biased towards the Russian government. Russia could decide to retaliate after the Commission President's statement. When Germany banned RT Deutsch in early February, Moscow forced German media outlet Deutsche Welle to shut down its Russian operations. Von der Leyen's comments come hours after Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered his nuclear forces on high alert after complaining about the West's response to the Ukraine invasion. French Digital Affairs Junior Minister Cedric O welcomed von der Leyen's statement. France currently holds the EU Council's rotating presidency. So there you have it. Censorship from EU, of all evil institutions. Never a good thing. Now here's some conspiracy-related news. CNN cancels much-trailed documentary after outrage from viewers. This is about Alex Jones. CNN last night canceled the broadcast of a major documentary about InfoWars host and right-wing extremist Alex Jones after being widely criticized for effectively giving him a platform. The documentary, entitled Megaphone for Conspiracy, was heavily trailed on the network in the week leading up to its scheduled slot. However, critics of Mr. Jones and the radical right in general were angry to see Mr. Jones treated as a subject of interest as opposed to a dangerous agitator whose ideas have penetrated public discourse with serious consequences. Okay, yeah, what serious consequences? In advance of the 1-hour documentary, CNN promoted it as an investigation of how Mr. Jones came to prominence and why he has taken the path he has. Quote, through interviews with people who knew him, worked for him, and believed him, the network wrote. Griffin explores Jones's rise from the fringes of the public access television to creating a wide-reaching media empire that touched the Trump White House. Man, they just cannot, stop talking about Trump. It just blows my mind. In a way, one good thing about Trump losing the election, wink, wink, even though we know he didn't. But in a way, I thought, well, at least one good thing about Biden being president is we'll never have to hear about Trump anymore. Nope. He's still talked about. It is insane that even after he's not even president anymore, and you're still fucking hearing about him. It's fucking insane. The hour will also trace the roots of Jones's conspiracy theories from the 1990s to today. CNN obtained exclusive behind-the-scenes footage of InfoWars headquarters, including portions of a revealing interview with Jones never seen before. Griffin will detail how Jones became a multi-millionaire and show how deplatforming and other efforts have done little to silence Jones or diminish his wealth. Of course not. It actually helped him and made him bigger. Yeah, how'd that work out for you guys? As Jones' empire is being challenged by lawsuits from the families of the Sandy Hook shooting victims. Oh, fuck, I shouldn't have said that word. And by scrutiny by the January 6th committee, CNN explores how Jones's message grew from the fringes into the mainstream and why that could threaten the future of democracy in America. Dun, dun, dun! In the last 2 years, Mr. Jones, who, as the network says, has been extremely controversial since he began to reach an audience of any size, has indeed faced legal action over his statements about the Handy Sook elementary school massacre, which included claims that the 20 small children murdered by shooter Adam Lanza were crisis actors, and that their parents were complicit in a giant hoax. Last November, he lost 4 defamatory lawsuits brought against him over these statements. Mr. Jones has also pleaded the Fifth Amendment more than 100 times, when questioned by the committee investigating the 6th of January riot, where he was present to address the crowd. He claims he got caught up in the event against his better judgment and that he urged the assembled Trump supporters to be peaceful, which he did. But there you have it. CNN was going to put out a documentary on Jones and decided not to. Thought that was some interesting conspiracy news. Now this I thought was pretty amusing, and it's conspiracy related also. Joe Rogan mocks Bill Gates for his man boobs and his toothpick arms. Rogan made fun of Gates' physique and questioned him for dishing out health advice when he looks like shit. Controversial podcaster Joe Rogan, who was recently embroiled in a Spotify controversy, has commented on Bill Gates, the co-founder of Microsoft. In a recent podcast of the Joe Rogan Experience, Rogan made fun of Gates' physique and questioned him for dishing out health advice when he looked like shit. I always thought he had the body of the Grinch. You know, got the pot belly, little tiny arms, hunched over, you know. I don't know. I just think he looks like the Grinch. The episode guest featured author and registered dietitian Diana Rogers, I'm not sure who that is, and New York Times best-selling author and former research biochemist Rob Wolf. Not sure who that is either. During a discussion about movements against red meat, Wolf said that some folks want food production to be operated like software. Rogan interrupted and said, "It's interesting you say that because Bill Gates is now the largest owner of farmland in the United States." By the way, I've been saying that on this podcast for a minute now, and I think that's very important, especially considering we are in the middle of a great reset, and they do want us all switched over to non-meat. They want us eating bugs. You will own nothing and like it. You will eat bugs. Yep. You can thank the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab and all of those goons, but that's the way it's looking toward. And Bill Gates is buying up all this farmland, and I've been screaming at the rooftops about it. No one seems to care, but yeah, that, and look at all these shortages that are about to happen. The food shortages. You got all these boats that are offshore that are just sitting there with no one to unload them. It's going to get weird. It's going to get bad. And I've been telling people to stock up. I've been telling people to enjoy as much beef as they can while they can. Because it's, shit's going to change, man. And I've been telling people, and no one listens. No one cares. No one subscribes. No one shares my content. But that's okay. That's okay. What do I know? I'm just a third shift night stalker who stocks the food and watches the trucks come in and notices differences, but what do I know? Don't listen to me. I do think all rich countries should move to 100% synthetic beef. You can get used to the taste difference, and the claim is they're going to make it taste even better over time. Eventually, that green premium is modest enough that you can sort of change the behavior of people or use regulation to totally shift the demand. Kitty, go on. Sorry, y'all. Totally shift the demand. So for meat in the middle income and above countries, I do think it's possible. Gates had told MIT Technology Review. No wonder that was so hard to fucking read, because it's like Bill Gates is, every other word is It's fucking horrible. Rogan brings that up in the episode and says, quote, but the thing is, he keeps saying that we've got to eat less meat and we've got to cut our consumption of meat out to be healthy, and that we're going to get used to these meat alternatives. When a guy like that says that, I'm like, are you making money because of this? Like, why are you saying that? And by the way, you look like shit. If you're if you're eating those plant-based burgers or whatever the fuck you're doing, you're obese. A guy like that telling people about he's got these breasts and this gut, and I'm like, this is crazy. You're one of the richest guys on earth. You have access to the best nutrients. You could have an amazing trainer. You could be in phenomenal shape, and you're giving out public health advice, and you're sick, Rogan continued. It's literally like a non-athlete trying to coach professionals. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? How are you giving any health advice when you look like that? Your health is piss poor. I'm not a doctor, but when you've got man boobs and a gut and you're walking around and you have these like toothpick arms, I'm like, hey buddy, you're not healthy, the 54-year-old ranted. Let's see. Dated February 25th. This episode is titled number 1784. By the way, it always blows my fucking mind how many episodes Joe Rogan has put out, man. I mean, I listened to him years ago. I don't really listen to him much anymore, but I wouldn't be here without Joe Rogan or Tinfoil Hat, you know. And I know Sam Tripoli, he says he wouldn't be where he's at without Joe Rogan. So I don't think, honestly, most people would be listening to podcasts without Joe Rogan. He really was the flagship podcast that kind of blew podcast up, that made podcast what they are today. I mean, I always tip my hat to him, you know. But that, it just blows my mind. 1,784 episodes in. That's just fucking insane to me. I'm on this will be episode 201, and I'm like amazed that I made it this far, you know. But yeah, it's crazy. And in 2 hours and 57 minutes long, it says. But yeah, there you have it. Joe Rogan bashing on Bill Gates. I had to share that with you. I think it's fucking hilarious. I can't stand Bill Gates. He's a garbage person. But yeah, let's get on with the next news story. So now we get into some rock and roll news. One thing I love about 2021 and 2022 is it really lets me know all these like mediocre rockers who like, I was just kind of 50-50 on, kind of like Gene Simmons. I always heard he was a dickhead. His music's, it's okay, I guess. Not something I'd go out of my way to listen to. Foo Fighters kind of disappointed me a little bit, being V-word only concerts, and then did crack me up though when they all caught the beer bug after they all drank the wizard potion. I thought that was pretty fucking hilarious. But we got another rocker, and this is Dee Snider, happy for Ukrainians to use "We're Not Gonna Take It," but not anti-maskers. If you're in need of a strong protest song, the Twisted Sister classic "We're Not Gonna Take It" usually does the trick. Dee Snider its songwriter, has made it clear that he's happy for Ukrainian people to use it, but not the anti-maskers. People are asking me why I endorse the use of "we're not going to take it" for the Ukrainian people and did not for the anti-maskers, Snider tweeted on Monday, February 28th. He then made a distinction between the two camps of people. Well, one use is for a righteous battle against oppression. The other is an infantile feet stomping against an inconvenience. Okay, I love this too, by the way. What about people like me who have asthma? Who literally, like, if I wear that, I'm going to, like, die. Or someone who has COPD, or just shortness of breath in general. Someone who has breathing problems. Like, what the fuck? In a previous tweet, Snider explained that his reason for approving of Ukrainians using his hit song as the battle cry was because his grandfather was Ukrainian. He also added the hashtag "Fuck Russia." His tweet received a mixed reaction from commenters. Quote, "I agree in principle with the non-endorsement of anti-maskers using this song. However, I take exception to labeling all people who don't wear masks, as implied, as infantile foot stompers. My daughter has a psychological condition which precludes her wearing a mask," wrote someone. Yeah. Not everybody can do this shit, bro. It's the same thing with with the wizard potion, man. Everyone thinks that people think that everyone can take it. And it's like, someone made a really good analogy on a podcast I was listening to, like, compare it to peanut butter. You can't give the entire world peanut butter. Otherwise, some people are going to die from an allergic reaction. Same thing with the wizard potion. Same thing with the mask. But, you know, these fucking lefty fucking Hollywood elites and all these morons, they don't think about that. They just want you to comply and go along with the system, and it's aggravating, to say the least. When I heard about everything the Ukrainian people were doing to defend themselves from the Russian invaders, this was the first song I thought of. Let it be a rallying cry for Ukrainian freedom, said, quote, a child of the 80s who remembers when MTV used to play music videos. Thank you for being on the right side of history, sir, saluted another. Yeah, okay. We're Not Gonna Take It, featured on Twisted Sister's 1984 album, Stay Hungry. The singer reached number 21 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100, making it the heavy metal? Yeah, right, that's not heavy metal, sorry. The heavy metal band's only top 40 entry. It ranked number 21 on VH1's 100 Greatest One-Hit Wonders of the 80s. So yeah, fucking mark Dee Snider off as another fucking idiot. But that's it for news for today. We shall get into a little bit of weirdness with the wizard potion I wanted to share with you all. You may have heard about it, you may not have, but some creepy stuff. So here's some creepy stuff that I found that relates to the V word. Sorry, I have to use code. The jabber jab. Invisible ink could reveal whether kids have been V'd. Keeping track of V's remain a major challenge in the developing world, and even in many developed countries. Paperwork gets lost, and parents forget whether their child is up to date. Now a group of Massachusetts Institute of Technology researchers have developed a novel way, they love that word novel for some reason, way to address this problem, embedding the record directly into the skin. Now this reminds me of luciferase, which you'll have to look into that. I might do an episode on it. Who knows? It's literally called Lucifer Race. And it's like there's a theory going around that it's in some of the batches of the wizard potion. I personally think that there's multiple different batches of the wizard potion that do multiple different things because we are in the middle of a trial period. So it's just theories. It's glow-in-the-dark substance, though. It's pretty insane. Along with the V, a child would be injected with a bit of dye that is invisible to the naked eye, but easily seen with a special cell phone filter, combined with an app that shines near-infrared light onto the skin. The dye would be expected to last up to 5 years, according to tests on a pig in rat skin and human skin in a dish. So this is kind of like Mark of the Beast shit, man. That's immediately what comes to mind, like somebody holding a black light over your right hand or your forehead. Creepy fucking shit, man. The system, which has not yet been tested in children, would provide quick and easy access to V history, avoid the risk of clerical errors, and add little to the cost of risk of the procedure, according to the study published Wednesday in the Science Translational Medicine. Especially in developing countries where medical records may not be as complete or as accessible, there can be value in having medical information directly associated with a person, says Mark Prosnitz, a bioengineering professor at the Georgia Institute of Technology, who was not involved in the new study. Such a system of recording medical information must be extremely discreet and acceptable to the person whose health information is being recorded and his or her family, he says. This, I think, is a pretty interesting way to accomplish these goals. Pardon. The research conducted by MIT bioengineers Robert Langer and Anna Jacklinick and their colleagues uses a patch of tiny needles called microneedles to provide an effective V without a teeth-clenching jab. Microneedles are embedded in a Band-Aid-like device that is placed on the skin. Skilled nurse or technician is not required. V's delivered with microneedles also may not need to be refrigerated, reducing both the cost and difficulty of delivery, Langer and Inject Clinic say. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You can get the Mark of the Beast with just like a Band-Aid-like substance. No pain required to take the mark. Delivering the dye required that the researchers to find something that was safe and would last long enough to be useful. Quote, "That's really the biggest challenge that we overcame in the project," Jacklinick says, adding that the team tested a number of off-the-shelf dyes that could be used in the body, but could not find any that endured when exposed to sunlight. The team ended up using a technology called quantum dots, tiny semiconducting crystals that reflect light and were originally developed to label cells during research. The dye has been shown to be safe in humans. The approach raises some privacy concerns, says Prosnitz, who helped invent microneedle technology and directs Georgia Tech's Center for Drug Design, Development and Delivery. Quote, "There may be other concerns that patients have about being tattooed, carrying around personal medical information on their bodies." Well, duh. I think it's pretty insulting that anyone needs to know my medical history ever for any reason, except for like employment or something like that. But the audacity that people have during this pandemic that they just go around asking people, "Did you take the wizard potion?" Like, none of your fucking business. That would be like me going around to random women like, "Are you on your period today?" I would get smacked in the face, and I wouldn't blame them for doing it. Let's see. Different people in different cultures will probably feel differently about having an invisible medical tattoo. When people were still getting V'd for smallpox, which has since been eradicated worldwide, they got a visible scar on their arm from the shot that made it easy to identify who had been V'd and who had not. Inject Clinic says, but obviously we didn't want to give people a scar, she says, noting that her team was looking for an identifier that would be invisible to the naked eye. The researchers also wanted to avoid technologies that would raise even more privacy concerns, such as iris scans and databases with names and identifiable data, she says. The work was funded by the, guess who? The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Yay! And came about because of a direct request from Microsoft founder and philanthropist Bill Gates himself, who has been supporting efforts to wipe out diseases such as polio and measles across the world, Jelinek says. If we don't have good data, it's really difficult to eradicate disease, she says. The researchers hope to add more detailed information to the dots, such as the date of V. Along with them, the team eventually wants to inject sensors that could also potentially be used to track aspects of health such as insulin levels in diabetics, Inject Clinic says. This approach is likely to be one of many trying to solve the problem of storing individuals' medical information, says Ruchit Nagar, a fourth-year student at Harvard Medical School who also was not involved in the new study. He runs a company called Kushi Baby that is also trying to create a system for tracking such information, including V history, in the developing world. Working in the northern Indian state of Rajasthan, Nagar and his team have devised a necklace resembling one worn locally which compresses, encrypts, and password protects medical information. The necklace uses the same technology as radio frequency identification, RFID, for chips for short. There you go, conspiracy theorists. RFID chips. Such as those employed in retail clothing or athletes' race Bibs, I don't know what that is, and provides healthcare workers access to a mother's pregnancy history, her child's growth chart, and V history, and suggests on what Vs and other treatments may be needed, he says. But Nagar acknowledges the possible concerns all such technology poses. Messaging and cultural appropriateness needs to be considered, he says. So there you have it. There's some freaky shit for you all. I hope you all enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe. And you all have a beautiful day.
We are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, opposed to secret oaths, opposed to secret proceedings. No official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.